Namaskar. Apologies for the slight delay in starting. We had to take care of a few technical things. And breaking news coming from Europe: 65 to 75 prisoners of war. A plane carrying them crashed. Is a very important significance attached with this. We'll know about that and other things such as the United States primaries, as well as many other things happening around the world. Let's welcome Sridhar Chityala ji. Sridhar ji, namaskar. Namaskar. How are you, sir?
Namaskar. Good morning to everybody, or good evening wherever you are. Great to be here. I'm fine, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well, sir. And apologies again for starting on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday. Sridharji was traveling, so we had to accommodate his schedule. So, Sridharji, let's jump right into it. Talk to us a little bit about this plane crash, sir.
Well, I think that the best way to talk about this is if
we just seem to have momentarily lost Sridharji. Just stay with us as he comes back in. And let me just, Sridharji, are you there? We seem to have momentarily lost him. So let me just play the teaser for this episode so you guys know what is coming. So here we go. We're just playing the teaser. Just one moment, sir.
yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Sorry for the wait. Viewers, we just lost him and he has rejoined us. Sir, continue, sir, about the 65 to 75 people being lost.
Right. Okay. So I think if we can get the map up, what I was saying is this is a very kind of sensitive area. There you are. So if you see the Belgorod region, it's right above the purple map is the area which is controlled by the north of Kharkiv or northeast of Kharkiv is by the Ukrainian forces. Those which are in the orange, the Luhansk and the Donetsk region is controlled by the Russian forces with the support of the rebels, who are being pro-Russian. They have been fighting the rebellion. So this plane crashed just north of the Belgorod as it was carrying the prisoners. So, which brings into perspective, this just gives details, this particular map details to you, held or regained by Ukraine, Russian military control, Russian advance. All these things point out the major great chaos and confusion which is prevalent as to who is doing what. But the fact was it taken out by the Ukrainian forces? Was it taken out inside? And why is the Russian army and Russian intelligence rushing to this spot when it is supposed to be carrying the prisoners of war? Remember that there was a major attack by the Russians on the Ukrainian infrastructure, which Ukraine thwarted over the weekend. And then you have this situation coming out. So we'll have more details, but it's a kind of a major news within the context of a plane carrying people being shot and major casualty in the Russia-Ukraine situation, Sriji.
Thank you, sir. And we also are now beginning to see that Ukrainian army is, I think, running out of soldiers. I don't know when they will also start using mercenaries like the way the Russians are rumored to be. For instance, we have talked about the Nepali soldiers who are supposedly trying to return back to Nepal and they are not being allowed to return from Russian army. This has become, a war for hire. People have money to burn, both sides, and I don't know where this is going to stop. Let's hope that it happens fast. Sir, in the Republican politics, Ron DeSantis has yielded, conceded, and he has thrown his support behind Trump, which is actually quite significant because I thought that he might actually wait for some time or throw behind Nikki Haley. That has not happened. Even though Trump has won the New Hampshire primary, the margin of victory has not been as big as expected. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's a victory. That's the important message. Second message: he's the only man who has carried New Hampshire third time. Okay, so that has not happened before. And there was a big campaign and big money push by Nikki Haley into this campaign. The fact that he won, as you rightly said, by a narrow margin, 54 to 43%, gives credence to Haley to say, I have converged, I lost big in the
Iowa.
Iowa primary, and now I'm going to come back. The South Carolina is my state where I was a governor, so I'm not out of the race. I'm still kind of moving forward. That's what you would expect. The undercurrent behind all of this is, as you all probably know, or if you don't, there are kind of two groups. Then you have still the old Dick Cheney Karl Rove group, which is not in favor of the Trump, and is obviously Haley is one of the strongly supported candidates from that side, with also funding coming through. And then you have the Newt Gingrich and the whole kind of, Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham, and the whole set, Ted Cruz, the type of Republicans who are very much conservative and to the right, and they are behind President Trump. So you have this internal kind of politics, but the fact that Trump is leading both the polls as well as he's continuing to roll one primary after the other. He also won this ballot issue in Massachusetts, and there is now growing flow of funds from Wall Street recognizing Trump is real and he's going to be a candidate. Is all indicating, Sriji, that the Trump candidacy looks very much imminent, unless something, as I mentioned before, a dramatic happens. By the way, there was also Vivek Ramaswamy at the victory speech, and he gave few things and as to why people get behind Trump. There was also Tim Scott, who was one of the candidates. He was also at the meeting. Don't be surprised in South Carolina if DeSantis turns up, Sriji.
Thank you so much, sir. And now on the lawsuits, this whole Jan 6th insurrection. Sridharji, this is the word that beats me. Sir, most of the people don't even know the meaning of the word insurrection. It's not something that we use like, coffee or tea during the day that you can just bring it up on a heartbeat. What we saw was when the attack commenced on the Capitol building, every Democrat and his or her dog was talking the word insurrection. I mean, now comes evidence. Again, this is something that I'm reporting from social media, that there were people in the Jan 6 crowd who were essentially, federal agents, and they are wondering if these were the people who even incited it. See, it's always like that. There'll be tempers raging, but to turn the temper into action, somebody needs to be the catalyst. There are questions being asked if something like that was what was done. Sridharji, what is the investigation showing us, sir?
I think first and foremost, I'd like to remind all of viewers, if you recall, we played in DJI a tape, a video clip, which is almost like a choreographed presentation. The Senate guys walking and narrating the same. The House guys walking and narrating the insurrection. The media is saying it's an insurrection. It's almost like a choreographed tape that played out on that day. And after that, what you are seeing is a whole committee which spent almost 2 years exhausting their House capital in terms of their ability to influence the agenda. They were focused on this, nothing came out. And then what happened? Three things have come out. One, they have refused to release the video. They only released contents of the curated video. Mike Johnson, who is heading the House, promised that if he wins in November, which he did, that he will release 44,000 hours of tape. Nothing has come out. Lo and behold, investigations, they find that either most of the data is missing or they are deleted. Now they find that they appointed an independent forensic agency. They have recovered some 117 or 120 encrypted files, but you need a password to access. So where we are on that side is the data, only data that we have seen is what was published by in one of the Fox shows. I recall. I'm forgetting the name of the person. He's a very important anchor. Sriji, you probably know the name. The snippets of that got released. So you have that piece of information. The second you have coming out of this is Benny Johnson, who headed the House January 6th committee, saying, we don't need to keep the file. We never asked the staff to keep the file. We kept what we wanted to keep, and then that's gone. What we are also finding is that there were many undercover agents who acted, and then the whole bunch of left media saying, that was not the case. There's no evidence against it. So the DOJ was asked to investigate, and DOJ has been dodging the issue. So we don't have videos. We don't have enough evidence. We don't have anything other than the narratives. And now we have this undercover agents issue. So the whole thing looks like a very orchestrated campaign to somehow punish the former President Trump, Sriji.
Sir, David Axelrod, he was a chief of staff for Obama, I think for the entire 8-year period. He literally ran the administration. He is considered one of the kingpins because if you look at the rise of Barack Obama, out of nowhere, he came and captured the Senate seat. And then within, I think the first time itself, he started running for president. I mean, it's as if the wheels were super greased for his nomination. Nobody seems to be looking at how it is that a certain individual got such a fast track. Sir, US politics, you have to earn your spurs. And, don't look further than David Axelrod and to some extent, the guy who's Emmanuel, who's the other guy who was very, very powerful, also from Chicago. Why is he now taking pot shots at Biden, David Axelrod?
Well, we have stated that who could be the invisible candidate coming out. So President Obama has been active. Even last DJI, we said, why is President Obama actively engaged, and why is he concerned about Trump rising in polls? What's it to him? He has to be focused on United States. But the story is, you are beginning to see the surrogates of the former Obama administration. Rahm Emanuel has not spoken. He is presently silent on this topic, but Axelrod has come out and stated effectively, as you correctly said, he was almost the entire czar for the 8 years. He has come out and stated, hey, Biden, there's a lot of noise within the Democratic system party, and they are not happy with you. You must quit. And also they have got another poll which says that by after August 2024, you may not see Biden in the ballots. You may see some other name, prop up. All this is coming out of this David Axelrod, the former Obama, kind of the ecosystem. For whatever reasons, they are not happy with President Biden, Sriji. So we could see if I have to raise my hand, I'll say I'll be very, very surprised if Biden is contesting the 2024 election, Sriji.
Now, viewers, there's something else that happened in New Hampshire. Joe Biden's name was not in the Democratic primary. See, what happens is, just like you have a Republican primary, you also have a Democratic primary, even though there is a sitting president running again for re-election. Normally, that is a given that, he's going to win it. But sometimes people will, throw their hat in and challenge it. Interestingly, in New Hampshire, Biden's name was not there in the Democratic primary ballot. You know what happened? People wrote his name in and he won. I mean, this is becoming farcical, sir. How can so many people write the name Joe Biden handwritten and then drop it in the ballot? Something doesn't add up, Sridharji.
Well, I think that let's leave the Democratic side. As I say, Axelrod has thrown in. Progressives are not very happy. There's a lot of fight back and pushback coming from the progressives on three major issues. One is the Israel-Hamas war, number one. Number two, climate agenda. Number three, he has not done enough on writing off the student loans, and he has been very, very slack on the border issue in terms of accelerating the program for these illegal immigrants. So there is a lot of kind of pent-up issues on which the progressives supported Biden in the 2020 election. So it's a payback time, and all this noise that you are seeing, is coming from that specific group through the media. Now, whether we can point out, but now Axelrod has come out and Biden has been talking about this. Obama has been talking about this indirectly, that he's concerned about rising President Trump. He can only infer, but more details will follow, Sriji, as the time goes on. But very clear that Biden is not very popular right now, and that's why his poll numbers are around between 35 to 38%, depending on which number you pick up.
Now, we are also seeing a lot of rising anti-Semitism in college campuses. And now I think the number of college campuses which are reporting this is in double digits. Sridharji, please give us an update on that.
The number of campuses will soon hit triple digits, 100. It's very close to 99. 99 we call schools, it's universities, where you see the rise of the anti-Semitism, but you're also beginning to see a number of professors and number of students, either filing cases or fighting the university administration, stating that it is totally intolerable and non-acceptable in terms of oppose. I mean, it's even to the extent of stop the funding from the Jews, stop naming the libraries after the Jews, stop immediately, start the agitations in terms of ceasefire. Those who got punished should be those who got caught in these illegal kind of campaigns in the campuses. Those who were reprimanded were let go. They are back again fighting these cases. We have never seen anything like this across the entire college school system. And that's 100 in 99 in number. Don't be surprised if it goes past. And the person, I forget his name again, the person who recommended to Biden that there should be a pro-Hamas policy to be initiated by Biden, which Biden did not. He resigned. He's gone back and he's joined Yale University. This is the situation that we are in today. Nothing that we have seen of this ilk in US in the last 30, 40 years. I mean, the Israelis and the Jewish lobby has played a significant role in the development of the education system. But you have seen in the last 4 years the complete flop or flip-flop of what is happening. And how could this happen, Sriji? It's just beyond comprehension.
Now, oil industry is fighting back the climate advocacy groups. Sridharji, oil industry has made money hand over fist since the Ukraine war started. And on the one side, you have that. On the other side, we all saw what happened at a US camp in the high seas. Practically, it's inundated. There is a tidal wave that came and it inundated the entire campus. I mean, we don't know exactly what is causing it, but why this lawsuit now? I mean, it's been going on for a few years now.
No, the lawsuit specifically that has been filed in Texas. The new leases coming up. Exxon is also 2 or 3, notably starting with Exxon. They're going to report their they report the revenues and report the actions through their shareholder meetings. Now, they are taking an anticipatory step. The oil companies are taking an preventive step in terms of filing cases that these advocacy groups' actions are illegal. They should not interfere with their annual shareholder meetings and specific policies. What they need to do is they can fight with the government or whatever they want, but not through the shareholder meetings. So there are advocacy groups now trying to enter into actions within at the shareholder level meetings, and this is what the energy industry is fighting. They're saying enough is enough. We have contributed, and if you have an issue, fight it through the EPA and the other groups, but not at the corporate meetings and at the corporate level. This is the anticipatory suit that they have filed, and I think they will get probably a favorable verdict on this in Texas.
And the US debt, it has now crossed 34 trillion. Is that a blur on the balance sheet? Now, 18% of the US budget is now spent covering interest costs. How big is the number? And is this going to balloon out of control in the years to come, Sridharji?
Well, I think that the purpose of making this point is that everybody thought, okay, there's a thinking that $34 trillion, the debt is growing, it's almost greater than 100% of the GDP, etc. If you're a fiscal conservative, you are saying, okay, the debt is okay, but it cannot be 18% of your annual budget because that is dead money, which doesn't produce any kind of economic outcome when you're giving it away. But the Democrats and progressives are saying, let's look at the balance sheet, or let's look at the total balance sheet of the United States. United States balance sheet shows, it has got close to $260 trillion of assets. And even if you take $145 trillion of debt, which includes the public debt, private debt, corporate debt, all debt, the US's net asset position is about $130 trillion. So therefore, why are you saying that, when your net asset position is 130, we can borrow more and give it to people? This is the reason why people may have perceived that, US has a very strong asset base. The market cap itself of the US companies is close to $70 trillion. And then you include the householders' wealth, the corporate wealth, etc. That it's a huge number. I'm not including any of their national treasure and national assets. So this is the battle between the two groups. While we have highlighted the deficit, while we have highlighted the debt, what we haven't given you, we'll do it in one of the shows, is the total asset position. Right at the top is United States with a net asset value of close to $135 trillion. This is also the battle for the reparations treaty. Why your state is saying you should give $1 trillion, $3 trillion, $5 trillion as a giveaway, and that is coming to our state as well, which is New York, and probably spread to the other places.
Viewers, what is happening in the city of New York is beyond comprehension. You know what people are doing? The illegal immigrants, they're peeing in cups. They're also taking a crap, and then they're also putting that in cups. Then they are going to households and leaving this on their doorstep. This is what is happening right now. It is becoming unbearable, and I don't know what the Biden administration is thinking. So far, they have not said a word about it. Their own Democratic mayor, Eric Adams, is just jumping up and down. So is the Chicago mayor. Now, where is this going to stop? And now they have won the case in Supreme Court, whereby the federal agents take back the control of the border. It was being controlled by the Texas state. There is a particular park where the Texas state guards had erected fences. Now all those fences are coming down, and again illegal immigration is going to resume. I don't know where this is going to end. I mean, the cities have run out of space now. Not only that, Sridharji, the state of California this year is looking at a deficit of $69 billion. Not long ago, we were a surplus state.
Indeed, Sriji. Since you gave these numbers, thus far in the last 18 months, the amount of money spent on the illegals, 44 billion, not budgeted, 44 billion
right.
dollars. $44 billion across the United States. The money spent on free medical, free welfare, free cash, free accommodation, free transportation, etc. $44 billion. So there is a proposal pending, which we covered in DGI, that to allow 5,000 illegals to come in and granted temporary work permits and to be part of the system. Where that leaves the DACA people? Where does that leave already the 8 million who are inside the country in the last 4 years? Where does it leave all of them? We don't know. But all we can say is this specific issue, illegal immigration, this specific issue alone is the biggest issue that is confronting the 2024 elections, which is probably the reason why people like Axelrod, etc., are coming in to turn the coin and turn the narrative on two fronts: illegals and abortion.
Yes, indeed. And now you are seeing in Project Palestine a new tune. Qatar, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, everybody saying that you have to talk about a dual two-state solution. Now, this is not only outside of Israel, but inside Israel, there's a lot of infighting going on. The left-wing advocacy groups, aided and abetted by global diaspora, are now fighting it out in Knesset, that is the Israeli parliament. Opposition leader Yair Lapid tells Benjamin Netanyahu to set date for new election. That's not going to happen until some stability is restored in Gaza. I don't know why people want to rake this up. Of course, Netanyahu is on a very slender majority, and that is also slowing him down a little bit. Sridharji, where do you think this is going to end? At least we are looking at months before you can call for elections.
Indeed, I think what we're going to witness is a two-pronged strategy, which is effectively Benjamin Netanyahu is going to prosecute the war, and he will continue to make sure that he will deliver what he promised, which is effectively to clean up and to get Hamas out of Gaza. That's his agenda. While the left, as well as the broad political forces, are concurrently pursuing the agenda of a ceasefire. And there was apparently even discussions facilitated by Antony Blinken and the Qatar Prime Minister with IDF and Mossad to see whether a safe passage can be created for some of these important terrorists or Hamas leaders holed up in the tunnels. The reason is that will give them a clear passage to execute the plan. Not much details has come out, but what the analysts are saying is it doesn't matter. I think whether these guys are given a passage or not given a passage, eventually these guys are going to be taken out wherever they are, whether it is today, tomorrow, 1 month, 1 year away. They'll be taken out, because then there's no question of any of these guys getting spared. So what you're witnessing is this multi-pronged, one, the left wing, one, the broad international coalition pushing for a two-state solution. Then you have seen the EU foreign minister pushing, the UN guy pushing. Now they're shifting the battle to the parliament to bring the left-wing leader to say push and call for an election. And all you are witnessing right now is to see how much ever is possible to distract, while the three H's is now called 3H. The Hamas, the Houthis, as well as the Hezbollah, continuing a multi-pronged attack to create enough distraction and disruption in the world, Sriji.
Sir, Iran's nuclear program, people are saying now that the enrichment is high enough that they may be able to make a nuclear bomb. We'll wait on those details. This is still speculation at this point of time. IRGC's role in Hezbollah attacks is now becoming more and more apparent, even though Iran is denying it. So we see now that IRGC, like we predicted last week, or I think 2 or 3 episodes ago, that IRGC itself is embedded in all these 3 H's. That's what gives that pinpointed accuracy and some of the more sharp shooting power or being ability to create damage is coming from. Now, Iran and Pakistan had a skirmish, and looks like they have kind of uh, covered it up now. I don't know what exactly that was. And I'm also hearing, and this is not here, but I'm just hearing, I want to tell our viewers that US might have already got a base in Balochistan. Have you heard of this, sir?
No, Shriji, I've not heard of this. You remember we tried to get this into this topic. I'll be amazed if it does, because you remember right in the middle of Baluch is the BRI initiative of the Chinese, and China has a stranglehold, and China is already facing consequences from the Baluch rebels because the projects are not making much progress, and there's a lot of casualties from the rebels. Right in the middle of that, I just don't know whether how US is going to position itself with a base, but anything is possible. Remember, the Bagram, which was supposed to be a very, very strategic location, was vacated by Biden administration. Vacated, lock, stock, and barrel. They vacated, and so I don't know, Sriji. I can't comment. I don't have any information on the Baluch US base in Baluch.
Viewers, we have talked about this research vessel of China heading towards Maldives. It was refused a permission by Sri Lanka, but it is going to land, or it is going to dock in Maldives on the 30th of January. What is the significance of this? Because again, India has been saying that this is a submarine and it needs to rise up to refuel. I don't think it's a nuclear submarine, because China's nuclear submarines are still work in progress, according to some. Sir, talk to us a little bit about the significance of this landing or docking at Maldives Malé port.
Well, I think the significance is very simple. Chinese want to do the hydrographic screening and plotting of the area. It's a very important fulcrum point from, as you rightly pointed out, for the submarines, and to keep an eye on movement across the Indian Ocean. Within that context, it's a very important. The Maldives National Defense Forces have never yielded to any nation. How they're going to deal with the Chinese, because they all have to operate under these national defense forces. Even India operated. India didn't have an independent, calibrated approach. So they were operating within the defense forces of Maldives. So how China is going to play it is very interesting. Whether it is basically to give India the thumbs up, this action is being pursued, we don't know. But there has been apparently, which we covered in the last DGI, communication and conversation between the two foreign ministers of one is Maldives and the second is India's external affairs minister, broadly to make sure that there is no defense and military activity taking place. And at least there seems to be an assurance that that is not the case coming from the Maldives, Sriji. We have to take it with a pinch of salt. But the fact that the Chinese vessel will be there, which India is watching with utmost caution, shows that they have great interest in taking strategic position. Remember, again, we covered this in DGI. The Malacca Strait stranglehold that India has from the Andaman Nicobar islands, they're trying to nullify that in the event of an attack on the South China Sea, that there are no surprises coming from the Indians in the multi-pronged battle strategy.
Yes, indeed. And we'll wait to see what happens. Many at the Davos summit many believe that there will not be a Taiwan invasion. Economic consequences will be catastrophic. Sridharji, the crown jewel in Taiwan is the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation. We know that they are diversifying. They have set up some plants in the United States. They have set up some plants, I'm hearing, in Japan, I think. That's another place that they have set up. Yeah. And also probably in Europe, right? In Europe also.
Japan, Germany, Austin. I think India is certainly under consideration, but nothing has happened. But these three, and then Japan, they're also building a second plant. So therefore, I think that they are diversifying. I don't believe China wants to take on. They are obviously rebuffed by the election outcome. they felt that the election outcomes will be in the Kuomintang party, which will give them a peaceful, very similar to Hong Kong type of embracing of Taiwan, and then eventually take Taiwan out. That's what they did with Hong Kong. I mean, Hong Kong is effectively defunct in every context. That's exactly what they wanted to do in Taiwan, except that Taiwanese people kind of declined. So many believe that because there is still a lot of international investments and international institutions, anything that they do in a military context will be catastrophic. So what we have indicated, or what we have been saying in DJI, is they will slowly pick up one island after the other. We had predicted Senkaku to be the first one. They will pick up adjacent. They have been also threatening Philippines and coercing other places, and force Taiwan to surrender rather than, or integrate rather than do a war. This is the belief, Sriji.
Thank you so much, sir. And Joe Biden appears to have flip-flopped again, that he doesn't support Taiwan independence. At the same time, he also is congratulating Taiwan elections. We don't know which side of the bed he gets up, sir. I don't know what exactly to make of his health. There are times when he looks like he's not even able to put 1 foot ahead of him. I don't know. You can tell one line on the state of health of Joe Biden. They can have a separate daily briefing on that.
I think one line. Biden is compromised incognito. The Chinese statement is a reflection of that. This is the same issue that is confronting amongst the broad Republicans of Nikki Haley.
And there's also talk about Democrats actually voting in a Republican primary for Nikki Haley. That is the extent to which they are hating Trump. I don't know what that guy has done, that you have to go to some other party's primary and vote. This is getting beyond ridiculous, Sridharji. Why is this great country getting divided so along party lines, sir? I mean, I'm just aghast.
The influence of the Chinese is very profound. If you have to gauge where United States is today, it's unheard of. I mean, I at least did not predict the profound and prophanic influence of what we are witnessing on the Palestine issue, right? We have never seen anything like this. So we should not be surprised the level of influence of the Chinese on Nikki Haley, as well as in progressives, as well as on the Biden's team. Why would Biden need to wake up the next day and say, I congratulate Taiwan? I say, I don't support Taiwanese independence. Why would somebody has forced him to make that statement, or somebody has released that statement? So, Sriji, I think the influence of the advocacy groups is very profound. Why they do not want President Trump because he got 75 million votes last time, Sriji. They want somebody who is weak, whom they can take out. So Democrats will naturally go and vote Nikki Haley in the primary, Sriji.
And in EU news, looks like Europe is splitting on Ukraine and also on China, Gaza war, budget, and security. See, this next item is very interesting. Visa-free travel has been given by China to Germany, France, Spain, Switzerland, Italy, Netherlands, Ireland, Malaysia in Davos. What is the significance of this? They are saying that it's easier to travel to China. It used to be always single entry visa.
Very simple. The Western nations, which are left-leaning, all of them, probably to some extent France, Switzerland doesn't care as long as it is Switzerland. The left-leaning nations, they want to focus because the resistance to the Chinese is coming from the Baltic states, the Scandinavian states, and the former Eastern European states. So that's where the EU is divided, and the Chinese foreign minister is not giving Lithuanians and the Polish free visas to travel to China. He's giving it to the Germans, he's giving it to the French, he's giving it to the Spanish, he's giving it to the Italians. They all have some kind of strong economic ties. We have seen the rise, to some extent, the rise of rice in Netherlands, but broadly, those nations are left-leaning. That's the message, Sriji.
Thank you, sir. And Poland now expresses support to Ukraine. see, Poland is having the most number of refugees from Ukraine, and people say that many of them may not even go back. Sridharji, Ukraine also is running out of soldiers. I mean, they are now recruiting 45-year-olds and 50-year-olds. What is the situation on the ceasefire between Russian and Ukrainian conflict, sir?
There's no discussion on Russian and Ukrainian ceasefire. The discussion is on Gaza ceasefire, Sriji. So the whole world attention is on that. But it's very important to point out, it's not just Ukraine which is losing out, which is running out of ammunition and people. U.S. Defense Department or U.S. Defense has no budget or no money left to send supplies, or not enough ammunition, because they have to place the order from their suppliers and send it to Ukraine. So U.S. Defense Department doesn't have enough money either. Russia is facing similar problem, and Russia is getting its supplies either from Chinese or the Iranians or from the North Koreans. So you have two sides which are without men and machinery, but fighting this war, creating catastrophic or enough damage. But what is important, I'll get ahead and jump. It seems like there is a growing acceptance, and which is important from coming from Davos, is that the business community, even led by Mr. Jamie Dimon, you can go and look at hear that speech out, saying that we should be now focused on development funding for Ukraine post the war situation. We should not allow, he cites 3 specific examples as to why Russia should not be allowed to win and why Ukraine's freedom and independence should be preserved. How the banks need to come together to provide infrastructure funding to rebuild Ukraine into a strong nation. It's very interesting. This is the chairman of the largest bank in the world, making this statement, Sriji.
Yes, indeed. And with that, we bring to close today's episode. We'll be back again on Saturday or Sunday. I'm not 100% sure. It depends upon Sridharji's convenience. And we have a lot of stuff to cover, especially the ballooning deficits and so on and so forth. So we will be looking at also the outcome of what happened at Davos. And so stay tuned. First time you'll be hearing a lot of things that you don't perhaps get to see in other channels. That's the reason why you come to DGI. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Thank you once again, Sridharji. There was a small typo in the last deck. The rag that we are using for the signature music is Kalyani or Yaman, not Jog. So I stand corrected. Sometimes in a hurry, we tend to make these kind of simple mistakes. So anyway, Sridharji, looking forward to seeing you again very soon, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.